So not only have we talked about retail theft over here a lot, whether it's Walmart, Target, whatever, we also talk about the police often and how they respond to certain things, whether it's crimes or shootings like what happened in Kansas City, which we will get to in just a moment. But they're doing something new in the Bronx. I don't know if you guys have heard about this yet, but think about it this way. Have y'all noticed that the easiest way to get some sort of communication with a company when you have a problem isn't by going to the manager inside a store or by writing a letter to corporate? It seems like the easiest way to get somebody's attention is to go to social media and basically rake them over the coals. Hashtag Target, hashtag Walmart, hashtag Southwest Airlines, hashtag Delta, these kind of things. And then these things become trending and people push your videos out and they go viral whenever you have a complaint about a company. And then that company tries to step up and do the right thing, the big thing, the whatever thing to get, but I guess you could say happy responses from people on social media, like, well, at least they did the right thing. Good for you, Southwest. Good for you, Delta. Good for you, Target, Walmart, whatever, right? Well, now in the Bronx, they have realized that calling 911 when there's an issue at smaller retailers, right? They've realized that calling 911 when there's an issue does not get them the immediate response that they would like when there's a theft or a fight or anything else going on in one of their locations. So what they have started doing is using WhatsApp. Now, I don't know if you know what WhatsApp is, but WhatsApp, it is, my sister-in-law used to use it a lot because she could use WhatsApp to talk to her family back in the Dominican Republic. And it is basically like a texting, FaceTiming, calling app, if you will, that doesn't use your data. It uses Wi-Fi and everything else, kind of like Facebook Messenger and how people use Instagram DMs to talk to each other instead of needing to have service on their cell phones to make regular text messages or phone calls through a provider, a carrier. All you need is Wi-Fi, and you can use so many different apps to communicate with each other, right? So now these smaller businesses are like, listen, calling 911, getting put on hold, because that happens a lot. You call 911 and they're like, please hold, we have an overflow of issues right now. And so you don't get the help you need as quickly as you need it. And then a lot of times 911 operators are like, hey, a theft really isn't an emergency as opposed to like a stabbing, a shooting, a car accident, a whatever else. So we're going to back burner your issues. And then the thief gets away from whatever retail location has tried to call in to 911 to get help from the police, right? So a lot of places now in New York, in the Bronx specifically, are using WhatsApp to get in touch with police as opposed to calling 911. So there is somebody in the police department who on their phones, they just have WhatsApp and they sit there and they monitor it all day long. I don't know. It did not tell me in the things that I was reading if it's like a receptionist, secretary kind of thing in the police department, or if it's an actual police officer who happens to have it up all the time on their phone or computer or whatever else. And anytime something pops off, if you will, in the Bronx, they are WhatsApping the police force to get immediate help as opposed to having to sit through the 911 phone call channels, right? Which, if that were to work, you're going to see that happen with larger places too. I mean, Walmart already has a police unit, police office. Is that the right word? Police office in one of their locations in Georgia, which is absolutely crazy to me because then you've got public and private kind of working together, and I don't fully understand how that works in all honesty, but they've got it happening. A lot of Walmart has either hired police for security, like when they're off-duty police officers, same kind of police officers who run traffic control or go to private events and things like that, off-duty police officers who will work security, or a lot of Walmart locations like the one we went to in Albuquerque, New Mexico 2 summers ago, they have their own security force that looks just like a police presence. You would not know the difference unless you got really up close and realized their badge was not an actual police officer badge. It is a security badge. But more and more retailers are trying to find ways, one, to curb theft, because obviously theft sucks. It hurts them and then in turn hurts us. But they're trying to find ways where they can get ahead of the game or ahead of the theft, if you will. So let's say they see somebody walking around one of their stores, whether it's Walmart, Target, or a mom and pop store. Instead of picking up a phone and calling 911 and maybe being overheard by the person who's committing or attempting to commit the crime, whatever, they can pull out their phone and text something to the police and have them show up before anything actually occurs, or in the process of it occurring or whatever else. And honestly, that does sound a lot safer than trying to make that phone call to 911 where you have to speak up. They have to be able to hear you, pushing that buzzer that sets off an alarm inside the place. The ability to get an instant message out does sound like something that could be beneficial, especially to these smaller mom and pop places who don't have the money to hire security, who don't have the ability to have the police force like in their back pocket like Walmart does or something like that. So I just thought that was interesting when I came across it, and I wanted to bring it to your attention. So one, don't try to rob anybody, because they're not calling 911 anymore. They're WhatsApping them and they'll show up before you realize it. But also maybe that will give people a better feeling of security when they're going out shopping, especially in places that are high theft areas. Like the Bronx isn't a bad place, but I'm sure there's high theft there, high crime rates like there are all over the country right now. But I mean, New York area, especially with all of the illegal immigrants, the migrants that have been bused there, that are living there, and you see an uptick in crime in a lot of places. So this whole WhatsApp thing I thought was kind of interesting and worth bringing to your attention, just because it's something new, and I wonder where they will go from there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how that will balloon up into something bigger, but I could definitely see it happening somehow, some way. Now, I want to bring this to your attention. I am sure you guys have seen this all over the news, all over social media. This is not going to be the first time you've heard of it. This is not breaking news or anything like that, but it is something I find very concerning and interesting all at the same time, and I wanted to talk about it. A lot of people did not watch the Super Bowl on February 11th between Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. A lot of people didn't watch it. I watched the whole thing beginning to end. There was a lot of it that I saw that made me think that it was predetermined on who was going to win this thing, because there were some plays that was like, really? How did y'all make it to the Super Bowl if you're going to fumble every single time? How did you make it to the Super Bowl if you're going to get sacked every single time you've got the ball in your hands, Mahomes? How did you make it to the Super Bowl if, as a 49er defender, is running after Mahomes, and then Mahomes goes, no, don't tackle me, so he tackles some random person, but Mahomes has the ball? There's a lot of stuff that happened that it was like, this feels like inaccurate, like it's not something that's actually being played, but something that was scripted ahead of time, right? But still, Kansas City Chiefs won. And of course, when people win the Super Bowl, they have these big parades. A lot of the teams do them. They do them every year. It's not just the Super Bowl. They do them with hockey. They do them with baseball. They do them with basketball. There's parades all the time, right? And it's supposed to be a feel-good celebration for the city. So people who couldn't afford to go to the Super Bowl can still come out and cheer on their favorite sports team and still be part of the celebration, even though they weren't there for the lights and the glitz and the glamour and the confetti. That's a whole waste of trees, if you ask me, at these Super Bowl things, when they just fill the stadium with confetti, but that's not the point. These people get to go see these things. They take their kids out, and it's supposed to be this happy experience for hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, depending on the city, right? So Kansas City Chiefs were no exception. They decided they were going to have the parade for winning the Super Bowl, and they did. Now, unfortunately, there was a shooting, several shootings technically, and I'm just going to give you what I have here. This is the updated version 8 minutes ago. So right now it is 1:52 p.m. Central Standard Time on Thursday, February 15th. This article was updated 8 minutes ago through Yahoo News. You guys can see that right here. You'll see, okay? So according to this, Kansas City shooting live updates. Police say dispute between several people led to gunfire at Chiefs Super Bowl parade. Now, when I first heard about it, as I'm sure a lot of you did at the same time, my first thought was, paid actors. It's going to be a situation where it was designed to cause panic and wreak havoc, and it's going to be an AK or an AR or something that, the government's trying to ban because it's right before election, and the best way to get people thinking about, getting rid of guns is to go to a big event like this and start shooting. It happens a lot. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But according to this, 3 people, including 2 juveniles, were detained in connection with the shooting near Union Station that left 22 people injured. 1 person died, from what I remember. Okay, so 1 person was killed, 22 others were injured in a mass shooting that erupted outside Kansas City's Union Station on Wednesday at the conclusion of the Super Bowl victory parade for the Kansas City Chiefs. 3 people, including 2 juveniles, meaning under the age of 18, y'all, were detained in connection with the shooting. Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves said Thursday that a preliminary investigation revealed a dispute between several people led to gunfire, adding that the motive is still actively being investigated. It's unclear whether those arrested following the shooting will be charged with a crime. Why is that unclear? Why the hell is that unclear? Please explain to me why it's unclear that underage people with guns at a massive event like this got into an argument, and instead of using fists like they should have, they decided to pull out guns and start shooting. Why would they not be charged with something? They should be charged with attempted murder easily. Anytime you're shooting into a crowd like that, you should be charged with the highest level of chargeability, in my opinion. Learn your motherfucking lesson and stop acting stupid. I mean, if you let people, juveniles especially, get away with taking guns into crowds and shooting, and there's no charges, what have they learned? That they can do it again. That's what they've learned. Teach them a lesson. And then we'd have less dumbasses running around this country. In two ways, hold on. At Thursday's morning press conference, Graves told reporters that police had yet to file charges, noting this is still under investigation. We do have 24 hours until we either have to file charges or release them. Y'all, there's cameras everywhere. There's cameras everywhere. You're going to tell me you didn't see who did it? I mean, there's a couple, a man and a wife, who saw one of the suspects running with the gun and tackled him and took the gun from him and held him until police got there. Side note, we're going to talk about them in a second because they are amazing patriots, in my personal opinion. Now, the shooting victim, the woman who did die, her name was Lisa Lopez Galvin. She was a mother of 2 adult children, and she was a disc jockey. She died on the grounds of Union Station after she was hit by gunfire that erupted following the Super Bowl parade on Wednesday. And this is her picture, because I'm going to show her picture because she lost her life for doing nothing more than trying to celebrate with her family, celebrate her city, and whatever else. I will not show the pictures of the people if they show who the shooters were. I will not do that. But what is interesting to me is that, okay, here's the first things that came out. No, this is the important part. What are Kansas City's gun laws? All right. While open carry is allowed in most of Missouri, Kansas City laws require a state permit, but most municipalities in the state can't restrict the carrying of concealed weapons. Some of the exceptions include concealed weapons, even with a permit, are not allowed in Missouri at sporting venues that hold more than 5,000 people. Kansas City Sports Commission's website did not specify any firearms restrictions for the 2024 Super Bowl parade. They did not specify that you could not bring firearms, so there's that right there. Concealed carry is restricted in the following places as well, even with a permit. Obviously, a law enforcement agency or jail. Any government building, including courthouses, within 25 feet of a polling place on election day, inside schools and child care facilities, liquor stores, riverboat casinos or amusement parks, house of worship, which obviously didn't stop the gun woman in Texas, Houston, Texas. You can't have them in hospitals. State law also allows private businesses to ban firearms as long as signage follows certain criteria. So the problem here is that the victims, they had victims of the 22 victims range in age from 16 to 47, a lot of people, but you have people. The problem here is, let's try to squirrel my brain into one place here. The problem here is that people are thinking they can get away with taking a gun anywhere. Obviously, the people who had the guns are not law-abiding citizens if they're under 18, right? Legally, you're not allowed to have a gun under a certain age, and I'm pretty sure 18 is that legal age. 16 is not it. 17 is not it. Almost positive 18 or above is a legal age in every single state, not just here in Florida or in Georgia, but also in Missouri. You have to be over a certain age. So these juveniles who had guns had them illegally. There's a charge right there. Keep the little butts in jail. But the problem here is, every time we see things like this, this is just another tick that people are going to use to go after our 2A rights. And I hate to say that I feel like we are going to end up with the short end of the stick, but if you can right now go to certain states and change your driver's license gender because today you feel like a boy instead of the girl you were born as, or vice versa, and they'll let you just change it on your driver's license, what's to stop them from saying, you know what, we see the Constitution, but it was written a long time ago and we feel it should be updated a little bit, and I think we should get rid of 2A. What is to stop them? In all honesty, what is to stop them? I don't have an answer for that, because we think, well, it's the Constitution. You can change the constitutions. There have been additions and changes to the Constitution numerous times. So what's to stop them from taking away something? And the more we see things like this, the more you're going to have the lobbyists and the people going up saying, or the groups that start this whole thing going, well, you know, there wouldn't have been a death and there wouldn't have been this if they were illegal. Well, that's not true, because the people who had them were not law-abiding citizens to begin with. They had them illegally. So it's not going to change anything, but a lot of people are going to forget that. The people whose wife or sister was killed, they're going to say, oh, well, you know, if guns hadn't been there, she'd still be alive, which is true. But thankfully, there are still people out there who are legal open carry or legal carriers who will stand up and defend people. And thankfully, there are people like, let me find them because I have the story on who they were. So I watched the video. I'm going to show you this. So I watched this video. This is the couple that stopped the shooter, right? And this is where they tackled him. I was watching a video because, again, everything is recorded. There are eyes everywhere. And I was watching the video and all you saw was a sea of red because, you know, Kansas City Chiefs, that's their color. And then there's like gunshots, and then people are like kind of confused as to what's happening because they thought it was fireworks at first. And then they realize it's daylight. There's no point in fireworks in daylight. They realized it was gunshots. And so, you know, they start running, and one of the shooters started running towards where this husband and wife were, and they did not even think twice. They said, no, not on my watch. And they tackled him. They put themselves in danger, in harm's way, in order to stop the shooter from injuring anybody else. They had their children with them. Of course, they want their children safe. So they did what they had to do as good patriots, and they stopped this man with this gun. They took the gun from him. They held him down until police could get there. And I feel like people like that need to be more shown than the people who actually did the shooting. They should never get their 15 minutes of fame. But people like this are why I believe that people are still good. So this is, they said an estimated 1 million people 1 million people gathered for the Kansas City Super Bowl parade that would go on to end in a shooting. Let's see, where is the couple's name? Trey and Casey Filter. They are lifelong Kansas City Chiefs fans. That's why they and their 2 sons were happy to join in the celebratory parade for the Super Bowl champions 2 years in a row. But unfortunately, chaos ensued because of the shooting. But they tackled him and they stopped him. I wonder if I can get this to play. Oh, I can't. I don't know if I can do volume, but we're going to do it anyway. Can y'all see that? So there you've got everybody running, and then you've got them tackle the shooter right there. Y'all can see that. They tackle him, and they hold him down. The husband and wife that worked together to take this man down, and then bystanders were trying to help, and then some of them ran away. But they took him down and held him until the police could get there to stop him from doing anything else and to arrest him. And I think that that's what we need, are more patriots like that who are willing to do what is right in the face of evil, if you will. But the whole point in saying this was, one, it's horrific what happened, but I don't want it to scare people off from doing things that are celebrations like that. I worry all the time when I see these things that it's going to stop these kind of things from happening. Next thing you know, they're like, well, there's going to be no more parades because, you know, some moron with, you know, an illegal gun and no clue how, when, or why to use it is going to, you know, wreak havoc on a million people. So they're going to cancel the parades. Next thing you know, well, we can't have people inside the Super Bowl because what if something pops off in the stands? So then everything's like it was in 2020 or 2021 for like the NBA and football, where nobody could go. It was just the players, and man, that sucked. Like, that was awful. And then it's going to continue on to where, what do we have left? Nothing. They're going to take everything away because of safety concerns, when in actuality it's just another way to pigeonhole us into staying home and doing nothing and not being able to get out and have fun or do anything like that. Just those kids who decided that finishing or starting an argument with guns was the best way to go. They're a bunch of idiots, and I hope they get the book and everything else thrown at them. Personally, that's my thought on that. Which is random. I just want to talk about it because it was important, and I want to remind people that there are good people out there who will stand up in the face of idiots like that and do what's right and stop more people from being hurt, which I thought was great. So that's all. SquirrelTribe, thanks for hanging out. I love y'all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.